Hey guys, Chloe here, back with another video. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm teaching you how to make these super cool and easy DIY TikTok rings. These pony bead rings have been trending all over TikTok and I made some for myself and I thought I'd make a video teaching you guys how to as well because they're super fun and they're super easy. These are just some of the rings that I've made. These aren't all of them, but today I'm going to be making more and showing you how to make them. If you don't want to use a straightener, however, you could also use an iron. Using a straightener is probably just more convenient, and that's just kind of the TikTok way to do it if that's how you would like to do it as well. Here I have this super big container of color organized beads from my VSco era in 2019. I'm sure these beads are probably selling out again, but you can find them at Michael's, Walmart, any craft store. You can even find them at like a dollar store. And then I just have my hair straightener here. Like I said, you can also use an iron if you're using an iron, or even if you're using a straightener, I would recommend using parchment paper. None of the ones I made that I use parchment paper for, so it does work without it, but if you're using an iron, you would definitely need it. Both of these are optional, but I use a makeup brush to shape the ring around after I take them off of my straightener, and then I also have these tweezers to help me place the beads and remove them. The first thing I'm going to do is turn on my straightener and putting on the second to lowest setting. On my straightener, that is 300 degrees. I would recommend using a lower setting because the higher you turn your straightener up, the faster the beads will melt and then it will make it more difficult to peel them off afterwards. While my straightener heats up, I'm going to cut 2 small pieces of parchment paper. I also have my beads here and I'm going to pick out a few designs. So I kind of want to make one with these kind of black and dark blue beads. So I'm going to pick out about 7 to 9 beads depending on how big you want your ring to be. For mine, I do about 7 or 8 depending which finger I would like to wear it on. But for me, it is approximately like 8 beads. It can also depend on how much you would like to fold the ring over and how snug you would like it to fit. I also have some of these perler beads here, which I'm going to make some rings with as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out a few variations of beads and then I'll get back to you. So here I have all these different variations of beads. I have some of these letter beads here. I have these pony beads and these perler beads. So now my straightener is heated up and I'm going to place one of these pieces of parchment paper right here. Then using my tweezers, I'm going to carefully place one of my first designs of beads. So I ended up removing my parchment paper, but once you get all the beads in place, you just want to clamp your straightener down for about 1 to 2 minutes until the beads begin to flatten. So now that my beads are beginning to flatten, I'm going to squeeze the straightener just a little bit tighter to make sure that they really get to their flattening point. You can have them thicker like this, or you can get them super flat. So now that my beads are at this point, I'm going to have my makeup brush ready to wrap them around, and I'm just going to use my tweezers and carefully lift them up first and quickly wrap it around my makeup brush. I use my fingers, however you may want to use your parchment paper for this because they are of course going to be very hot. You want to work quick with this because they will begin to cool down very fast, and once they are cold, they are super fragile and they are super easy to break. So once you get them bent into a shape, you will just want to set it aside and let it harden completely. And now you can begin to repeat this with the rest of your beads. Next, I'm going to try one of my letter bead arrangements. So I'm going to start with my tweezers and just place each of the beads on my straightener. It doesn't matter if it's on the edge or in the center. I find it a little bit easier to have it closer to an edge. Since these letter beads are a little bit more flat, it will require more time to make these ones just because the other beads are taller, so you have to wait for them to flatten to make sure that the letter beads also melt together and then to the beads on the side. Now that the beads are in place, I'm going to just hold it tight until they flatten. Like I said, you can see that the letter beads are a lot shorter than the other beads, so this one will take a little bit more time. You can notice here that the letter beads are beginning to flatten and melt down with the other beads. So once your pony beads look a lot larger and almost like this, your ring will be just about ready, but I'm going to hold it down just a little bit longer to make sure that my letter beads melt together. If you hold it tighter, it will melt the beads together faster. However, I would recommend being patient because it'll melt your beads together and they will be a lot stronger and your ring will be less fragile. I'm going to first just peel off the ring. So now that I've peeled my ring, I'm just going to quickly wrap it around the makeup brush to make sure that it gets its shape. Like I said, these are super hot, so you may want to use the parchment paper for this. Like I said, these are super fragile. This one already broke as I was just taking it off of the makeup brush. Let's go ahead and try some perler beads next. I'm using about 12 perler beads just because they are a lot smaller. So we're just going to use the same technique. Just use the tweezers to put them in their place. This time I am going to use the parchment paper just because I think these beads are going to be a lot more melted and hot. These rings with the perler beads are definitely a little bit more flexible here, and they're not as fragile, giving them a little bit more room to kind of stretch around your finger if they're not the right size. It looks super cool still, but it's definitely not as easy to work with, and I believe that the other ones do look better. I'm gonna go finish the rest of my rings and I'll be right back with you. So that is how you make these really cool and easy DIY beaded TikTok rings. That is all I have for you guys today. Always remember to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. You can find my social medias in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!